Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining from. Thank you all for being here. Welcome to another Q&A. I'm back. I am, we don't have a real plan today other than just talking about whatever you want to talk about. So that's the plan. That's the plan. If you do have a question at any point during the stream, please put the letter Q in front of it, and that will sort it better on my screen here. So then we can, I can filter those out from the rest of the chat. So let's say hi to some people who are joining us. Another 3.5 hour stream today? Probably not. No, hopefully not. Hopefully this one is sort of our normal 90 minutes, we'll say. We'll see what happens. Who knows? We might get on a roll and start trying something out and then get completely lost in it, which tends to happen here. So we'll find out. There's text above my head. What? I don't... Wait. Is there text up? That's a good question. What is that? Oh, it must be coming from OBS. I did... Is it this one? Aha. Funny. It is my H2R graphics layer, which apparently H2R graphics is not running on my machine for some reason, and then it was giving me an error message. That's funny. Let's see if we can start H2R and fix that. So my, oh good, that button still works. What does that say? Error, no such file or directory, can't open that file. So it must be because this is not running. Something happened to H2R graphics. Look at that. I don't know what's going on. It's running. Let's close it and start it again. No, it broke. I should probably update it. Maybe that's the problem. So that'll be fun. I don't know why this broke between yesterday and today, or I guess not yesterday, Friday and today. So we'll see. I didn't notice that text because it's so dark and small. Let's get rid of that in OBS. So the way I'm doing my graphics now, I really only have 2 layers that I use. I have my own web page that is where the chat messages are displayed, as well as a couple of other things like I can, let's see if I have it. Yeah, I can like slide my YouTube and Instagram logos over, and that's just some custom JavaScript and CSS I wrote. And that's the same layer that the map happens on. So it's all like part of that web page. And then I've also been dropping H2R graphics on top of that so that I can use other graphics from there, like the lower thirds that are part of that, because they're a lot easier to manage in there. If I show you what this should look like. Let's see. Yeah, so this is the editor for them, and it's just a little bit nicer to like be able to quickly type text in here, and then I can show that on the screen. But for some reason that is not working. So we're going to go ahead and reinstall that and see if that fixes it. Good times, good times. Hopefully, okay, let's see. What else? Chris, why such an ordinary t-shirt? Honestly, because I forgot to put the other one on right before the stream. It's extremely cold outside this morning, and I had to wear many, many layers to get here. It is, yeah, actually snowing today in Portland, which is extremely unusual. And I biked over here in the snow, which was kind of fun. It was extremely snowy. It was like legitimately snowy. It was like full on snow, an inch or 2 on the ground, depending on where you were. And this is me biking over here this morning. And yeah, it was cold. So I was all bundled up, and then I just forgot to change the shirt. So, oh well. Oh, Chris, yes, thank you for the super chat. I didn't mention it because it ran during the map. I did see that as soon as I started the stream and the chat imported, it did run the animation like normal. It just happened to be doing it over like the title screen. So if you scroll back, it did play at the beginning of that. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. That was very kind. And yeah, it is almost John and my birthdays. It is that's on Tuesday. So we'll be doing a birthday stream on Tuesday for that. And I don't think John's gonna be able to join me. I think he's got other plans because that's evening his time, which means he's got like, I don't know, birthday plans. And it'll be morning over here, so whatever. I'll come on, and I might be able to get Photo Joseph to join. So we'll see. So oh, H2R graphics. I was in the middle of updating that. Let's see if it's fixed. I just replaced the file, H2R graphics. Let's go ahead and launch that, and we're gonna run it anyway. Come on. Oh, how do you do this again? Is it like option? There we go. Option click. Did that work? Yeah, it's booting up now. And with any luck, this will work. Rick, happy birthday to all the Capricorns. My birthday's the 31st. Wow. Yeah. Happy birthday to you too soon. Then definitely a not my favorite time of year for a birthday, but happy birthday to everybody who has a December birthday. Okay, look at this. H2R is running. So that is lovely. And that's the output, which means I should have, oh, it hides the cursor. That's convenient. I should have the control interface here. And that means if I tell OBS to reload, show that layer, there it is. So now I should have this button back. Sure enough, I can press that button and it slides out. I did notice that my graphics seem to be running a little bit choppy today, which is not lovely. And I think I just haven't rebooted my computer in a while. And this is yet another example of why I'm not a huge fan of running things on computers, even though I did move all of my graphics over to a computer. So that animation should be a lot smoother, and normally it is, but this computer's been on for a while, and we did just do a 3.5-hour stream on Friday, and I haven't rebooted it since then. So, oh well. Okay, what else have we got in the chat here? Oh, Brian, question. You mentioned to feature your members. Where should we upload the video? Great, thanks for that. So I should mention this again. I want to, I'm still working on putting together like a 25K subscriber thank you video. I want to just do something to give back to everybody here who joins me every week. And I thought it'd be fun to feature all of you who join every week and have you be able to actually join in this video. So the plan here is to have you record a little bit about yourselves, introduce yourselves, and introduce and describe something that you've learned on this channel, watching my live streams or my videos. And feel free to like mention what you do on your YouTube channels or in your businesses. And I'm going to compile all these together into one big video. I don't have an exact timeline for making that video because I want to make sure I do get a lot, get enough submissions to make it more than just like 5 people on the video. So I'm going to kind of wait until we get submissions in. So sooner the better, because at some point I'm going to say like, this is the deadline. But in the meantime, go ahead and I'm going to drop this link in the chat. And this is the link. It should be in the description already, but I'll put it in the chat as well. So this link, there is a Google form basically, which has some simple guidelines for like how to do this. So keep the video on around a minute, under a minute. Don't include any music. I do not want to deal with figuring out licensing. If you include music, I will include my own music, which I have licenses for. It's okay if it's not one perfect take. I'm not going to be playing the full video in its entirety. I'm going to be chopping it up. So it's okay if you just record yourself on a camera and or phone even, and just like do a take that's not perfect, and I will make it look good. So don't worry about that. If you are doing it in a video editor, please output in something like this format. But again, whatever you can do is fine, because I can always convert. And then here is, oh, I should update that deadline. Is not a real deadline. The outline. So introduce yourself, introduce your YouTube channel or your business, or kind of what you do, and then share one tip or something that you've learned from this channel. So unfortunately, I do have a limit here if I don't want to have to deal with figuring out how it's okay to get video from people who are under 18. So only people who are over 18 are going to be part of this. Apologies to anybody who is not 18. I just don't want to deal with the permissions and rights around that, especially because it tends to vary between countries, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the deal. I do hope to see you in that video. So let me know. Go ahead and submit a video through that link whenever you can. Jim says, how about over 50? That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Let me see what else we had before we get to the new questions coming in. Oh yeah, Bailey. I apologize that I can't include you in the video, but thank you anyway for joining. Andre says, I like the YoloBox wishlist PC USB webcam out support. One more vote for that. Good. Yeah, that video was fun. I wanted to get a video out yesterday so that we had actually a video out every day this week, since I didn't do a live stream yesterday. So I did a video about my wish list for the YoloBox. And that was, I'll drop that link in here. YoloBox wish list. And I just went through a list of things that I think they could do reasonably easily. So I was trying not to be too far-fetched. And there's been a lot of comments already, which is wonderful. So definitely go add your comments in that video if you want to like upvote anybody else's ideas, reply to those comments, because YoloBox is watching the comment section, and they do take into account all the feedback from people. So we'll see what we can get out of the existing hardware, or maybe some new hardware in the future as well. Sven is still rewatching the last stream with 1 hour and 20 left. Great. It was a long one. That was a long one. Robert says, best coffee spot in Portland. That's a tough one. There's a lot of good coffee in Portland. It's hard to go wrong. I think if you find any of the like neighborhood coffee shops are going to be really good. I really just usually go to just like the closest coffee shop wherever I happen to be, and it is usually very good. I don't go to Starbucks. I don't go to any of the big chains, but the anybody's local coffee shop is going to be great. Stumptown is good. Definitely one of the bigger names that you probably heard of, because they've been expanding and they do a lot of promo. I like their coffee. I won't say it's my favorite, but it is a very good option. Jules says, do you think the YoloBox Pro will soon be companion capable? I really, really, really hope so. So this is one of the ones I've been really pushing them on. I really want them to add support for companion. I don't think they need to support companion directly. The way I would see it is they would support OSC so that anybody can write support for anything. It doesn't have to be just companion. I think that is going to be a super powerful feature. And if you also want to see that, then the best thing to do is to go to that YoloBox wishlist video on my channel that I just linked, and leave a comment on that video saying you want companion integration or OSC support, and explain why. Explain what you would do with it, because they do look at the feedback, but they are trying to, gauge what's going to be the best features to add when, and decide which ones to prioritize. And the more people that are asking for features, especially if there's a good reason for, if there's like clear use cases that are given for a feature, that's gonna bump those up in the priority list. So definitely go comment on that video and explain what you would use companion integration for, and hopefully we can get them to add that, because I want that one. I think that might be my top feature right now. All right, looking through the other questions here. Dean says, can you make graphics and use a device such as an iPad or other HDMI source into the ATEM and use them on the live stream? Absolutely. Absolutely. That is a fantastic way to do graphics. I think, so I actually did a demo of this really quick. I think it was on Friday during the ATEM stream, if I remember correctly, of showing you how I do the little graphics that are over here. So this is a Keynote file, and it is a Keynote presentation that I've added. I made it self-playing, and I added timing and animations into each of the slides. And that is being played right now off of a little iPod Touch, and it's actually a really old one. So it is, you can get those for like, I think $100 or less at this point, because it's not even the current gen iPod Touch. And it does a great job of video playback. I do think that iPod Touch, if I remember correctly, it's the old gen. It's not the current iPod Touch gen. I think it's limited to 720p output. So if you are looking at this in 1080, you might notice that some of the graphics are blurry. Although I don't actually, I should find this out. Here's what we're gonna do. You know what? Because that thing outputs 60 hertz no matter what resolution it's in, and it's going into my television studio, not my ATEM Mini Extreme, and the television studio does not have the frame rate converter, so it doesn't work without a scaler. So I had to add a scaler before or after the iPod. If you're going into an ATEM Mini Extreme or ATEM Mini Pro, any of the ATEM Mini lines, they have frame rate converters in them, so you don't need to worry about plugging stuff in. So what I can do is I should be able to, what was it called? I should be able to open up the little decimator app. What is it called? Too many apps. I remember what the decimator app is called. It's called, wow, and it's not showing up on my list of apps either. Oh my gosh. Well, never mind. I was going to try to pull up the status of it so I could see if it's actually sending 720 or not. Anyway, long story short, an iPod into an ATEM Mini is a good solution. If you get the latest iPod, it should be doing 1080p output, as well as iPads will do 1080p outputs. So I recommend that a lot. And Keynote is not like really a motion graphics tool, but you can use it as one, which I like a lot. And you can do a surprising amount of stuff, and it's very, very easy, in my opinion, to manage it. Like, you can't do super advanced stuff, of course, and you lose a lot of the flexibility that you get in a proper motion control app, motion and graphics app. But you can do quick graphics in it. Let me just do like a quick demo of popping into Keynote here, and here we'll just start with like a totally blank slate. So you can, like, just grab a little rectangle, pop it over to the side, and add some text, change the text color, change the font to whatever you want, and let's just say my name, put it over here, and then what are we going to do? we're going to group those together, and then we can animate this. So now that it's one object, we can say like move in, and that's going to just do like a slide. Or we could also say like do some sort of funny thing, or swoosh in. That's awful. That one's kind of fun. Comet. All right. And then we will, so that's a half-second transition, and then we can also have it go and like zoom out, sparkle out. I like it. Okay. So then if you, the key here for the timings of the slideshow overall, you can, if you're trying to make just like a quick lower third or something, then I should have actually probably done this with a black background now that I'm looking at this. Let's flip this around. So that way we can use a Luma key. So let's go back. Let's go change the theme to a black slide. Oh, look at that. It conveniently changed that already. So now we got a black background, so we can use a Luma key. And then the key here is to do if you want to just do like, there's two ways to use this. You can load this onto an iPod and just output the video from the iPod, or you can also export full-on transparent video from this if you want. So if you go choose Apple ProRes 4444, four of the fours, that's the one that gives you the alpha channel. And what that's going to do is actually make the background transparent. So I think we have to actually tell it the background is transparent instead of black. But then the timing of this. So if you go to export a video and export this as ProRes, you can say how long you want it to stay on each slide. So that will be essentially how long the text is visible before the transitions. So we can just export this and say animated lower third, and then save it into that folder. It's going to create that movie, and then let's see where I put that on my computer. Here it is. Nope. It's in here. Animated lower third, and if you look at this in preview, you'll see the transparent background, and it's going to do the little comet in, wait for 5 seconds, and then sparkle out. So this you can load directly onto a hyperdeck now because it's got the alpha channel. Play it back on a hyperdeck. The other way to do it is to play it off of an iPod directly from Keynote, and that sort of saves the device because you don't need to, or it saves a step. You don't need to export the video. It's just from Keynote, but you won't get the transparency that way because the HDMI out from the iPod is going to have the black background. So for that, you would use the Luma key to bring it over your stream, which means you won't get the nice gradient, transparent gradient backgrounds, but you can do an awful lot still. I would stick with slides or things that have hard edges, not the soft tapering off transparencies. So lots of good options using Keynote, and you can do some pretty cool stuff pretty quickly. Okay, now we're getting some questions coming in. Let's keep going here. So let's see, this one from Sequence Production. Thank you for joining the stream. I've been using my ATEM Mini since its release without any problems until a few weeks ago. My streaming settings is 4 megabytes, but then suddenly ATEM starts to go up to 23. Interesting. So a couple things it could be. A couple things it could be. The ATEM is a variable frame rate encoder, so it is not guaranteed to lock at one bit rate, or not variable frame rate, variable bit rate encoder. So it's not guaranteed to be at the exact bit rate that you've set in the settings. So it's very possible that even though you've set 4, it might go above or below that. The reason it would go below that is if you don't have much stuff on the screen that is changing. So for example, if I can't really show you my live encoder, my encoder bit rate. Oh, I can show my ATEM multi-view. We can do it that way. because I'm not actually streaming from my ATEM, I'm streaming from my web presenter. So what I can do is, let's stream to my streaming bridge, since I don't need that for anything. And is that going to work? No. Where's my... trying to just get it so that I can show you the stream and the multi-view. So that'll show you the bitrate. Then I can jump to this view. So in the top left is my streaming bridge, or my streaming indicator. And if I start the stream at streaming high, it should stream to my streaming bridge, and it's set to the quality is streaming high, which is I believe it's the 6 megabits when it's at 30 frames a second. And you can see that it's about 6, and it's kind of changing a little bit. If I switch what's in the program feed to a view that has a lot less motion or a lot more flat graphics, like for example the super source, then it's going to drop, because now the only thing that's like complicated graphics to encode, the only thing that's moving is my little box here and not the rest of it. So it's going way down lower because it doesn't need to use all that data to encode the picture, because most of it's not changing. So if I switch back to here, it should jump back up to around 6. And one of the reasons it might go higher is if you've got a lot of motion or a lot of detail, or especially both. So actually one thing we can do is, I think I have, I think I have the card over there for the my stress test clip. Let me go load that really quick. So I just swapped the card in my Hyperdeck, and yeah, there's the stress test clip. And that clip is something I made. The link for that is actually below if you want to download it. You can. I have these for sale in a bunch of different resolutions if you want. But what it's going to do is I made a very complicated graphic to encode to sort of break encoders. And if I cut to that picture, well, it's not moving yet, so it's an easy graphic to encode. But as soon as it starts playing, you'll see what happens. Let's go. Let's see. Is it this one? No. Is it this one? Yes, there it is. So as I start to play this, there's a lot of, you probably can't see it in the YouTube preview, but like the top, the YouTube compression is going to make a mess out of this too. But that's the point. The one that looks just like static in the top row, second from the left, that one is actually like pixel by pixel, little black and white dots that are moving really quickly. And then the other one that looks like just a gray blocks is again like a grid of pixels. And at full resolution, it's like a lot of detail to manage. So it is, maxing out the encoder right now, and it's trying to keep it to a reasonable bit rate. And it looks like it is managing it under 6. So if we start making this scene even more complicated, like let's take a video of, for example, this side camera and put it over the top of everything, just to I need to make that loop. Hyperdecks play on a loop, and then let's go like take the upstream key with a I don't know, like a Luma key, sure, and then we're gonna take the side camera. This is going to be just a delightful mess of a picture. But the point is that I want to like put even more stuff into this image to make it even harder to encode. And now we are getting, as you can see, it's getting a little bit higher because there's more motion. There's, let's see what happens if we do like something like that. It's a mess, right? So if you try to break the encoder, you can get some nasty stuff there and try to push the bitrate. I have seen it like spike. For some reason, it's not spiking right now. I don't know exactly why. but I have definitely seen it spike, and I'm not entirely sure the cause of that, but if there's a lot of like motion or detail, then it will that could cause it to spike, because again, it is a variable bitrate encoder, and for the most part, it's fine and it's not a big problem. Some things that receive that much data will freak out, and YouTube won't like the stream if it goes for 20 megabits a second for a long time, but for a short amount of time, it's fine. All right, moving on. Totally new topic. I do appliance repairs. I use the ATEM Mini. Would love to add auto tracking cameras with the same quality as my Sony cameras. What do you recommend? I don't know if I've seen any auto tracking cameras that also are the same quality. So I have a little USB camera here, little webcam style, and it is, yeah, you can see it up on my monitor here. It's a little OBS bot. It is a webcam. It is not a DSLR style, quality camera. And I know that DJI has some gimbal stuff that has some amount of auto tracking, but I can't remember if it's only on their little, on the tiny stuff. Honestly, I don't know if you're going to be able to do that, and your best bet might be to get a person to run the camera for you. Because, yeah. Yeah, Roland agrees. I recommend somebody to move the cameras around. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get through some of these other questions, and then we're going to take a look at other comments. Charles says, I have a question about the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO. I heard claims that it records up to 8 HDMI inputs at 4K resolution, even though it only streams at 1080p. Do you happen to know? No, the ATEM Mini Extreme has no support for 4K anything. It is a 1080 device. It does not do any 4K. There are ATEMs that are not in the Mini line that are 4K, but those don't have ISO recording features yet. Hopefully that's coming, but we don't have any of that yet. So no, the ATEM Mini Extreme is 1080 only. Keith says, streaming every day. Are you ready for a break? It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. Almost every day. I missed yesterday. I skipped yesterday intentionally. But I got a video out instead. But no, it was a lot of fun. It was fun. We've still got more coming though, because I'm not done. Tomorrow we were going to do another stream, assuming I can get to the studio if I'm not totally snowed in. And then on Tuesday, hopefully again I can make it to the studio and I'm not snowed in, and we'll do that'll be the last one of this series. That'll be for my birthday. Oh, okay. Rick says DJI does have a high-end Ronin that has auto tracking, the new whatever high-res cam you want. Good. Okay, I was hoping they have one. I had a feeling they might. DJI, that's I guess probably the best you're gonna get. Let's see if I can find it. Ronin, I don't remember the exact lineup here, but here's the it's their gimbal, but then yeah, somewhere in here it should tell us about auto active track. That's their word. I know that the DJI Mini has active track, and that is cool that the Ronin does too. So I guess if you put it on like a tripod fixed, it will then just follow you around. Okay, any other follow-ups to those topics? Chris, seriously, send some snow my way. You're welcome to have our snow. Although no, actually, we don't get that much snow. and it's nice when it happens. So hopefully I didn't just shoot myself in the foot and get stuck here, because I would like to go home as well. Can you post a link? Yeah, I don't have, I'll just drop this link to the main DJI Ronin site. But I don't have one of those myself, caveat, like I've never actually tested it. So I'm just going off of their webpage information and what Rick said. All right. I'm going to scroll through here. Patrick says, do you use Companion for other than live streaming, home automation, or productivity? Good question. Companion is obviously a big part of this stream setup, and I've got a Stream Deck controller for it. So on my table here, I'm using this to manage this stream right now, and I've got all the buttons here, and I've also got one. This is new, and I've also got one over at my desk. And this was a new addition. I got the one over at this table this week because I was like, I'm tired of dealing with the iPad and not having a tactile interface. So I wanted to get the physical interface. This one's on a extender, like USB extender cable, because the computer is over there and a regular USB cable isn't long enough. So it's on like a powered USB extender cable, which has been working great. So I have two companion interfaces rigged up to manage this show. On this device, there are buttons that do things other than manage the live streaming devices. So for example, I've got a whole thing in here for light control for the studio, but it's also my overhead lights for the room. They're off right now because I don't leave them on when I'm streaming, but I can turn on the overhead lights of the room. I've also got a switch for the heater in here, and that turns on the heater in the room. So I do have this rigged up to some of my home automation stuff. But this lives in the studio, and I don't use this for like home control, if that makes sense. I have Companion at home for the streaming rig there, but again, it's mostly just tied into the streaming kit. Mostly when I'm actually using like home automation tools, I'm mostly using the Home Assistant actual web interface to view and manage those and use those switches and things like that. Yeah. Hardy Media with the tough questions. What was your best takeaway and stuff learned by having an in-studio guest? Photo Joseph. So yeah, last week on the first live stream of this series on Monday last week, Photo Joseph was in Portland for vacation, and he came by the studio and we did a stream together, and it was a lot of fun. What did I learn from that? I guess I've never like actually had another guest in here on a live show in person. I've had people join virtually, but yeah, I don't know. I think I definitely would want to do some things a little bit different if I do this again, because this isn't really set up for two people. I think it came out okay, but it could be better. For example, I like this microphone a lot better than the Rode Wireless Go, which is why I use the overhead mic for this stream. I couldn't use it for that with him because it's very directional. So if I was actually sitting over here for the show, right, and Joseph was over there, and you can hear that the audio is now way worse because I'm off axis. So I should have what I should have probably done was set up two of those, because I do have another microphone. I should have probably just set up another mic and pointed one at each of us so that you could hear us clearly. Camille, thank you. Thanks for the super chat. When you're watching your broadcast later, there are many interruptions due to advertising. Is this the intention? Interesting. Thanks for the super chat. I do have ads turned on the channel on most of my videos. Wow, the confetti is really slow today. I do have ads turned on most of my videos. That is one of the sources of revenue for this channel. And I've never, but myself, I actually pay for YouTube Premium, which means I don't see ads on anybody else's shows. And I think because of that, I'm not necessarily paying attention to what it's like for people to watch these back later. I also don't know how many ads YouTube puts over the live streams. I don't really know. I don't really know what they do with live stream ad interjections. So if it is very disruptive, then let me know and I can turn them off on the live streams, because or maybe I can disable the mid rolls on the live streams. I don't really change the settings when I go when I do these. So there's a whole section in the YouTube Studio, which is choosing what ads, and maybe what I should do is disable these mid rolls. That way it's only the ones that like are on the bottom. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. Although Rick says, for your live stream, the only ad at the beginning. If you're watching live, I think, yeah. So if you're watching live, I think you might get an ad when you first hit the stream. But then when it's live, I don't think YouTube, I wouldn't make any sense, them to insert ads. I did see, actually, there's new features in YouTube Studio. This is interesting. I'm just noticing this. Here's a sneak peek of what I'm seeing in the streaming console. There's new buttons up here: create highlight video and add stream marker. So if I click that, I'm really curious what happens. Unable to add stream marker. Well, that was a nice fail. I've been thinking about adding my own system for adding stream markers, because every time I click a message in the chat, it sort of bookmarks it for me. And if you go look at, actually, it should be linked already in this video. So if you look at this live and scroll down, I have this section here, questions from the stream. And if you click on that, what you get is every time I click on a chat message, it gets recorded. So I get a sort of like an index of everything that we've talked about on the streams. And this is public. You can go click that and browse around yourself as well. And you can also search it. I'm making the interface better, but it's okay for now. You can just search the page, for example, coffee, find the question about coffee. What I want to be able to do, though, is add markers into this manually. So I'm working on building myself a way to do that. But what I thought was in here, which I'm not seeing now, is a button that is a button that's like play an ad right now on the live, because I've seen that in their API, and it might be the case that it's only in the API. So yeah, if we go look at we're just on a tangent, whatever. If we go look at the API docs, there is a action in here. Their API is really not my favorite. Here it is. Starts an ad break in the broadcast. So this is something that I saw in the API, and I was expecting there would be a corresponding button in here for it, but I don't see a button for it. And that would be really interesting to run an ad mid-stream sometime. Anyway, questions about that. How do we get access to the Program the Questions webpage from your live stream? So I always link in the description. I link to the question page for each video. So you can just click on the link that's in the description, and it'll be from each of those. And the other way to do it is if you go to this link, aaronpk.tv/questions, then it's got an index of all of the videos, all my live streams, and you can click on, one of these and then see everything from that stream. You can also search, which is kind of neat. So you can search for like chroma key, and then this will show everybody's who's asked chroma key questions on any of the streams, and it'll jump right to that part of the stream. So this is just all part of my plan to make this content more findable in the future again later. Chris says, is the code on GitHub? No, it's not, because it's complicated. It's not a very nice system. It's not well organized, I would say, on my end. So it's not something I would recommend anybody else use right now. We'll see if I can convince John to add stuff like that to his H2R graphics, though, because H2R graphics is actually much more user-friendly than the thing that I am using, and maybe we could see, if he can add some of those timestamp features to that program as well. Sven says, I wonder what an ad blocker would make of ads in the middle of a stream. Yeah, good question. I don't know. Chris says YouTube doesn't do ads mid-stream. Yeah, not live, but I think it does add them in mid later. Okay. That was enough about YouTube and ads. We were talking about, Gerhard says, is the stream good on your side? My internet is good, but the stream is very bad. Sometimes YouTube, the player freaks out, and the player will decide that to switch your view down to a lower resolution. So if you're seeing a bad quality stream right now, then what I would do is go here and click on the little gear and make sure it's set to 1080. Because if it's auto, it's going to like drop down to 240 if it detects bandwidth errors at some point. And you can see it's very grainy now. So make sure it's set to 1080. And it should look great. How do I add the questions page to my website? How much would you charge to make the website questions feature for a private client? I'm not really doing that. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna. Oh, thanks, Hardy Media. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks as always for the great value you provide. I appreciate it. Now we get the very slowly falling confetti because my computer is freaking out today. Appreciate it. So, yeah, I don't plan to do web development, have web development clients right now. That's not something I'm interested in doing. So sorry, not going to happen. What I would recommend is trying out H2R graphics, which is John Barker's thing. And he is doing a fantastic job of developing the software, which has, it's the one that I'm using to do this little thing at the bottom. And I have a couple other things in it. I don't remember exactly what, but it is a great program, a lot of features. One of the things it does do is it does support YouTube chat as well. So you can show chat comments on the stream. And what I would recommend is bug him to add that feature because it already supports YouTube chat. And maybe we can convince him to also like publish an index of those in a way that you can export to a web page. I think that would be a reasonable feature request for him. And he's, again, very responsive to features that are requested by a lot of people. So that could be a good way to do it. All right. Christian says, saying you are involved in IndieWeb is an understatement. How is this influencing your approach to YouTube? Great question. So for those of you who might know me from other contexts, I also am... Sounds outside. Someone's delivering a package, maybe. Yeah. Oh, Chris, thank you. I lost my train of thought when I heard some footsteps outside. Chris S says, what's your birthday gift to yourself? Maybe a 40x40 matrix. That is tempting. That's definitely tempting. Although, man, I heard those fans are loud. I just convinced I think I just convinced Joseph to, Brian, thank you for the super chat. I would buy a shirt that says I'm not Aaron, but on it. Oh my God. Okay. Might have to do that. The 40x40 matrix, I think I just convinced Joseph to buy it for his studio because he has a lot of cameras also and a lot of screens around there. And I think he would benefit from it a lot. So I might actually need to go with the Aja one instead of the Blackmagic one because that one has no fans. So quite an investment though. So I'm not sure if that is a good birthday gift to myself. Gonna need a lot more super chats to pay for that. But we'll see. And yeah, thank you both for that. What was I talking about? Oh, I was talking about this question from Christian. So yeah, the IndieWeb is a community that I helped start a long time ago, like 10 years ago at this point, and we've been it's all about like the idea of owning your web presence online. So it's indieweb.org, and I should probably drop this link in the chat so that the timestamp gets collected later. And this is it's a community first and foremost, and we also host a bunch of events. So there's a lot of there's like weekly events. We used to do a lot of in-person events back when that was possible. I'm looking at that picture now, I'm like, everybody is way too close together. No wonder everybody would get sick when we would go to conferences. But the lately it's been all virtual events. So we've been hosting weekly and monthly virtual events as well. Although there was one in Dusseldorf, which is one of the reasons I went to Dusseldorf and did that stream from there. So this is all just to say that the sort of one of the main goals of the community is to encourage people to have a web presence for themselves online, and instead of only posting content on other people's websites, for example, Twitter, or Medium. If you're writing a blog post on Medium, or if you're writing content on Twitter, then mainly what you're doing is you're creating value for those companies. And yeah, you might be building a brand for yourself on that platform, but you're 100% tied to that platform. And so if you take a look at how I approach this, for example, I have a website that is not my YouTube website. It's aaronparecki.com. And on this, I post, anytime that I post a photo on Instagram, for example, I also post it on my website. And there's actually things on here that are not on my Instagram. So this is like the more complete version, but this is like my last Instagram photo. And what this means is if for some reason I lose my Instagram account, then I haven't lost my data, right? My photos and my collection of stuff that I've created is on my website. And interestingly enough, this did already happen. I did lose my Instagram account, which is why I have this new one with the _TV on it. And they just deleted my Instagram account because they thought I was a bot. And it's gone and I can't get it back. But I don't really care because I still have all the photos that I had on that Instagram account. So that's the same thing with like stuff that I post on Twitter as well. So here's this thing that I posted yesterday. You can see there's a copy of it on Twitter. And I consider the version of it on my website to be the canonical version. So this is a thing that I posted and I wrote, and it's on my website first. And then secondly, it's on Twitter. I essentially copied it to Twitter. So that idea of like post on your site, copy it to somewhere, some other platform, that's a very common pattern within this community of people who have their own websites. We might also be copying this content to places other than Twitter. So it might be going to multiple places. Like I could post this to, well, actually I do have a copy of it on Micro.blog, which is a totally separate sort of like social network service that also supports things like photos and posting notes. So with all of that context, how does this relate to YouTube? Because you might notice that I have just sort of been describing the exact thing that I'm trying to avoid doing, which is what I'm doing on YouTube, which is I am I'm creating content on YouTube for YouTube, and YouTube is the one that gets to sort of decide how much of it to show to other people. And how to distribute it to people. And I don't really own any of it because it's on YouTube. So how do I reconcile this with myself, I guess? This is one of the reasons that I am doing things with my other website, aaronpk.tv, because I want to take back some of that ownership of the stuff that I'm putting on YouTube. So for example, I consider aaronpk.tv my canonical website for this video production stuff that I talk about. And I link to all the YouTube videos from here. And then this is also where I have the questions. So questions and the timestamps from the live streams. So here is the that was one of the so these are the chapter titles of all of my recent live streams. And this is an example of me trying to sort of merge those two worlds. I do download a copy like automatically. I have all of my YouTube videos and live streams downloaded automatically just for my own archive in case my YouTube account does disappear. I can at least like repost this content somewhere else on some other platform. It also means that I could, for example, create a members only archive of all my live streams so that if I wanted you to be able to watch it without ads, I could do that. Those kinds of things. Those are all like possible because I have a backup of the content. One of the reasons I don't have these live streams and my YouTube videos published to any other platforms, including on my website right now, is because I do actually want to get the views on YouTube to help build that channel and build that reputation on YouTube. I guess I'm playing the algorithm game, and it's hard not to. And that's one of the reasons I don't, for example, republish my live streams on my own website in a way that I do for all my other content online. But I'm trying to still bring a lot of that data into my website, which is why I index the chapter markers and make that index available on the website. I index all the chats, and I have those available on the website. And my plan for hopefully early next year is to continue to build this kind of thing out on this website. And one of my goals is to replace this homepage with basically a search bar, just a giant search bar that lets you search across all of my YouTube content. And for all of these videos and all my live streams, I actually want a page on this site that then contains all that rich data. So the list of all the timestamps, the list of all the chats shown on the stream, all links to products I've mentioned on the videos. I want that to be, because I can give you a better experience on my website than I can make on YouTube. The actual video will still live on YouTube because I want the views to count there, but I can give you a better experience around browsing this content from my own website. And that's really where that, again, that IndieWeb idea comes in. It's like, I have more flexibility and I have more flexibility and I have more control, and I can make my own decisions about how I want that content to look when it's not in somebody else's platform. It's the idea of self-expression or just functionality. Chris says, with YouTube, you can never win. Yeah. What's the YouTube download resolution? So if you go into the YouTube Studio or the YouTube Studio and like click the download button, you get like a 720p version, which is, I don't know why, because they definitely have a higher res version and it's your own video. I actually use the YouTube DL program on my own videos. So I have like a little thing, script written that just runs every day, and it checks for my new videos, and then it uses YouTube DL, grabs the highest quality version, and saves that on a hard drive in my house. And I can do that because it's my own content. I'm not like stealing somebody else's content. It's my content. I own the copyright. I just am granting YouTube a very broad license to use it. Sven says, I like the IndieWeb approach. Back in the days of weblogs as the main place to express oneself on the internet for others to see, it was a lot more indie, but sadly that time seems over. Yes and no. I think there's a lot of challenges for sure. Social media obviously took control and took a lot of that away from the sort of blogging world. But blogs are absolutely still around. They're still important. And I think we're seeing more and more people get frustrated with the limits of the sort of unified monolithic social networks. So we will see how that evolves over time. I think there's some, I think we're at a pretty critical point right now for many, many different reasons. And I think things are going to change hopefully very soon. And hopefully we are, in the meantime, just encouraging people to experiment with the stuff on their own and try things out. So yeah, that's my story about how the IndieWeb principles overlap with my YouTube content. Jesse says that's a cool idea about the ARMPK TV website. Thanks. Yeah, I've been working on making that more useful and more findable again later. Okay. Back up to, wow, it's already been like an hour. I don't even know how time flies. Wow. Oh, back to the exporting that Keynote thing. Rick says if you export the animated lower third as ProRes 4444, all the other vids on the hyperdeck need to also be. Yeah. If you the hyperdeck essentially like gets locked into a particular video mode, and it will only play files on the card that match that same mode. So the you'll want to make sure all your videos match on the SD card so that they're all playable. What is your ideal setup, which is compact, easy to carry, and has the most of the features that you need? Let's make one live on HDR gear, and live viewers of the stream can also give suggestions. Oh, interesting. I guess I have two different. It really depends on what we're talking about. What we're talking about the kit being for. So, because when I put together these kits, like when I was doing conference shooting and small events and stuff, it would often change day to day, and I usually don't have a single kit. So it'll depend, like it'll be like, what's the room size? Do I need a camera that has a long zoom, or is just one camera okay? Do I need a way to, like, can I set my gear up near the podium, or am I going to be in the back of the room? Because that will affect whether I need a wireless transmitter for the slides to get sent to the back or not. So all of those factors really go into what I bring to a particular gig. So I don't know if I would have like a single answer for that. But the other part of that is, I often consider how much time will I need to set up the kit at the venue versus how long is that event. So if I'm filming a 1 hour event somewhere, I don't want to have to spend an hour setting up, or oftentimes I can't, because I can't get into the venue until 15 minutes before the event starts. So because of that, like, you know, that's one of the reasons I'll use the YoloBox, which is got a ton of features in it and doesn't need a whole lot else in order to do a live stream. And if I need to very quickly go somewhere and set up a gig, do a stream for an hour, and then this is a great option. If I'm going to be doing like an all-day conference or like a 2-day conference, I can justify the hour it would take to set up an ATEM Mini rig and the additional pile of wires that I would need to bring in order to make that work. And that I can justify it then. So I think it depends. It depends. That's a long way just to say it depends. But yeah, it's also been a while since I've actually had to do that, because I haven't had a lot of opportunities to do live in-person events, obviously, because there hasn't been a lot of those happening. Okay. Oh my gosh, more questions. So many questions. This is great. I might have to I don't know if we're gonna be able to get to all these even. Bailey says, if you don't use the chroma key for anything else, is there any benefit to using the Luma key for graphics over the chroma? I use the chroma right now, but want to know if there's an advantage. So the main difference between Luma and chroma key for graphics is the Luma key is going to only remove the dark parts of the image, which means if your graphics have very dark, like black, in them, you're going to have a better result using a chroma key, which will remove like a bright green. And as long as you don't have a bright green in your graphics, then you're fine. The advantage of using a Luma key is I think you can get a slightly better result and you'll have less artifacts from the chroma keying. Sometimes with the chroma key, if you don't have it set exactly right, or depending on the colors or things, you'll end up with little fringes around it, which you can sometimes remove, but not always. And that can be an advantage of the Luma key, is that you won't get any color edges around it. But the main downside is you won't be able to have your graphics contain any dark colors. Shoji Production says, will you be doing the ATEM stand giveaway today? I sure will. Yeah, totally did not do that at the beginning. Let's save it for the end. And I'm just going to try to not forget to do this before we wrap up. I'm going to wait till the end before we do this. And at this point, I see there's a whole set of conversations happening in the chat. So I'm 100% not going to see your message unless you put the letter Q in it and ahead of the message, and then it'll filter it for me. Roland says, are you using Companion to control your MR18 mixer? I definitely am. I have it all rigged up into this now. It is great. So the MR18 is what you're listening to me through right now. That outputs to my ATEM over the 1/8 inch input. And if you look at my Companion configuration, I have a bunch of stuff in here that controls the MR18. So for example, pre-roll is what I click when we're about to start the stream, and it loads the still graphic and then starts the countdown timer, and importantly, mutes my microphone. So somewhere in here, here's the Xair. That's Xair is the module that controls it. So there's an action called mute channel, and it is set to mute channel 1 and channel 2, which are my two microphones at the two places. And then when I click start at table, it will unmute channel 2 and make sure channel 1 is still muted. So that unmutes this microphone. And it's great to be able to chain that in with all of the other things. So when I click that, it does the, it sets the program to this camera. It will run that start show command in the remote graphics thing, which basically does the fade out on the music. And then it will get rid of any keys that I may have set in the extreme. And oh, there's a stinger in here somewhere. Where is the stinger? Here it is. So that button press, button 19 is actually the stinger button, and that does the little stinger to start the show. And then we it'll remove the downstream key from the other ATEM, which has the little sidebar graphics, and then it will cut that other ATEM to the main ATEM. I have two ATEMs set up in here, which is confusing, but let's see if I have my my diagram of how this is all rigged up. I think it's this one. Hopefully it's this one. And I don't know why my internet is so slow today. My stream is fine. So maybe it's just, well, I'll come back to that. MT says, a HuddleCam HD is a good one, but a bit pricey. Interesting. I have not used that. Is that the, is that one of those actual PTZs or fake PTZs? EPTZs. I shouldn't call it fake. Yeah. Cool. I haven't used that. If you've had good luck, that's wonderful. What do you think about animated GIFs for YoloBox? That way we could use After Effects to create animated lower thirds and export them. After that, we could use them as an image overlay. That could work. I could see that working. So one of the problems with animated GIFs is that the quality of them is not always great. So they're not, it's a terrible image compression format, first of all, just like objectively terrible. And there are much better solutions now. And what you'll even find is that if you post an animated GIF to Twitter, they actually convert it to a video file because they can compress it so much more and save so much bandwidth. And rather than sending out a 1.2 megabyte animated GIF, they can send out a 120 kilobyte video file that shows the same image. So it's not a good compression format or animation format, but it might be an easy way for them to add basic animations. I don't know. How to lock the downstream key in the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO whenever I change the camera, I need to on the downstream key again. There's a setting for it. So in the ATEM Setup app, if you go to let's see, ATEM Setup, which is not the software control, it's the ATEM Setup app. In here, there is a these buttons, these panel settings: picture-in-picture key and chroma key, drop with transition or stay on with transition. And if you have it set to stay on with transition, then it won't disappear when you change camera angles. But also, if you are switching camera angles from Companion or within the software control, it's not going to be dropping those either, which is the other way to handle that. I wanted to get an NPF battery for the wireless transmitter. It also has output 5 volt, 2.4 amps. Is that enough to charge the YoloBox? Ooh, I think so. I'm pretty sure it is. Let me see if they have a... Ooh, no, it's not. Okay, they actually do publish the ratings on the back of this. Input 5 volt, 3 amp, 9 volt, 2 amps, 12 volt, 1.5 amp. So it does support, I guess that means it supports power delivery, USB-C power delivery, and 5 volts being the lowest amount, they say 3 amps, which is more than you're going to get from just regular USB. It will charge it with 2.4 amps, but it may not stay charged. It may, like, you might still be draining a little bit of battery as you're using it. But there is a big battery built into it, so it might be okay for, it might work for several hours anyway. Okay, other questions. By the way, I'm not like ignoring your questions. I see there's a whole bunch of questions in here. I'm going through them, like, I'm trying to go through them in order, so I'm way far back right now, and I'll eventually catch up. It does not help to copy and paste your question over and over again. In fact, I noticed people have been doing that, and what I did is I actually made it hide the messages from me if you copy and paste it. So, like, it's not going to even show up on my screen, so just don't do it. Eventually, I will see the question. And if I skip your question, I apologize. I either made a mistake or I don't have an answer and it didn't make sense to spend time on it. So I'm trying. Also, this used to be a 1 hour long show and it's clearly not anymore. So we'll see. Are you using the second set position today because the first set position is under construction? No, the other set's fine. Still is totally set up. I am considering some pretty big changes in here, but I haven't actually done that yet. No, I'm here because I have all the cameras set up here. I have more cameras than I normally have set up here because I was doing all the streams about all the gear on here, and like this camera is not normally mounted here. I guess I can focus on that. That's a little nicer. I have this camera, I have my overhead, I have all these things, and it was just already here, so it just made sense. Plus, some of my automations are now, because of last week's streams, they're hard-coded to like cut back to this camera as the main one, and I didn't want to have to switch everything over again. Has your new rack turned up yet? Are you going to build it live? It did turn up. I already put it together, like physically put it together. There's some stuff mounted on it, but not a ton right now. I wonder if I can just spin this camera around to show you a little peek of it right now. This should work. Let's see. Is that going to work? It is going to work. Great. You'll get to see my giant mess of cables. This rack is over here by the desk now, and the plan is to put all the stuff that's on my desk, like the HyperDecks, the HyperDeck TV Studio, Web Presenter, that stuff in that under my monitor. I don't like it under the monitor. That was just the only spot for it. So I'm going to move it into that rack. So I've been building that up slowly. I've got right now my big giant UPS on the floor. It is so heavy. I do not like how heavy it is, but that's fine. And then the MR18, the audio is there. I put that one down low because it has cables running into it. They're going to run on the floor anyway. I've got the next one above that is a network controlled power switch. So I can actually turn on and off outlets remotely, which is useful because some devices need to get rebooted now and then I can do that remotely. And then I got the two Blackmagic racks, or shelves for the gear that isn't mounted yet. And then on the other side, I've got the network switch facing the back because most of the stuff has ports on the back and I don't want to run all the cables around to the front. So that's what I've got in there so far. And then hanging off the front is my my ATEM Mini Extreme with that little bracket that I made earlier, which is kind of fun. And so far, so good. I don't know if I'm going to end up making that available to anybody else because it's a little nerve-wracking having it hanging off there. But I did post that it's gone from my Instagram stories now. Oh well, gotta follow me on Instagram and make sure you check out my stories because I was posting stuff about it there, but I lost it now. It's not visible because it was a couple days ago. Yeah, you forgot to paint the rack white, start over. I was thinking about it. So here's the thing. I was definitely considering it. That rack cost about $200, and which is a good price, I thought. I actually looked up a local place that does powder coating because that is enough metal, and it's gonna have enough. I'm gonna be like attaching and unattaching stuff all the time. That my spray paint solution is not a good solution. I've been spray painting everything else, and like on the desk. The other rack is just spray painted and the other gear is just spray painted. But if you look really closely at some of the edges where I've got the screw holes, it's been chipping off because it's not powder coated. So I looked up a place that can do powder coating locally, and I was like, should I buy this and then like bike it down 8 miles to the powder coating warehouse and then have them, they quoted me like $200 to do it. I could have thrown other stuff in there as well, because once you get a batch of stuff in the oven, they can just zap it all at the same time. And that would actually turn it properly white. I ended up not doing that just because I was like, I don't know if everything I'm going to be putting in the rack anyway, I can turn white, because some of the stuff I can't take apart or doesn't make sense to paint it. So I think we're done with the white theme for all the rack gear. I think my rule is going to be anything that's above the desk, anything that's visible above the desk will stay white. But stuff in that main rack is not going to be. Jesse says, oh, good point. Do your Instagram stories also go to your website or just the main posts? I don't have a good workflow set up for the Instagram stories. It does save them all to my phone, so at least I have that video still, but I do have a way to post stories on my website, which is funny. So like I did this a while ago. I don't know. It keeps breaking though. So it usually works with photos, but sometimes videos don't work. And most of what I'm putting on Instagram stories are videos now. But like here, I'll do a little demo of this really quick. So I can from my phone, let me see if I can get this in. Where'd my camera go? It's pointing the other way. Let's get this back. Oh, JP, thank you for the super chat. Thanks for the update on the DIY streaming bridge. It's finally working and use it as a restream unit. What are its limitations though? Oh, great question. Yeah, the streaming bridge video I did last year, how to turn a Raspberry Pi into a streaming bridge, and streaming bridge. That's Blackmagic's term for an RTMP server. So I did a thing of using a Raspberry Pi to do that. And basically we go through the process of like installing a web server, installing the RTMP server, and then it outputs over the HDMI port. And it works. The Raspberry Pi shipped an update to the operating system and took out the key thing that makes that work. So it does not work for the in the new Raspberry Pi OS. So the trick is you have to download the old version, and then it works fine still. So I'm not super happy about that, and I need to look for like a proper solution. But in the meantime, you just get the old version and it works fine. As for the limits of that solution, then I would say it's not 100% stable, I guess, is what I would say. So one of the things I did notice is, for example, if you have two sources pushing to the same Raspberry Pi, which like don't do that, but sometimes it can happen. Essentially they fight, and you'll see frames from both streams appear on the screen, which is really weird. The reason that might happen, not intentionally, is if you have a flaky internet connection. So if your camera is streaming and then the internet connection drops out, and then it will try to go and start a new stream, you might sort of end up with multiple processes on the streaming bridge running, all trying to output video, and it can really get confusing. I had that happen at one point, and it just like starts getting all glitched out, and yeah, so it doesn't handle those kinds of failures very well. But for if you have like good internet connections and you're doing relatively simple stuff, it has been fine. I've been using it quite a bit, although I did just switch what I've been using as a RTMP server now mostly, which is to where did it go? I found a device. It is it's called a Magewell ProConvert, and this thing has been lovely. So this is basically a little box with an SDI out. They have an HDMI version also. Ethernet, PoE, so it's powered over from the switch, which is nice. So I only have Ethernet and SDI plugged into mine. And then it is a server. So it's an RTMP server, as well as among other things. The 10, 11, 70, 76. You log into the little web interface for it, and then you can configure the server. And you can choose, like, you can make stream keys for it and set multiple of them. You can make RTMP stream keys. You can do SRT from it. There's also an NDI version as well. So if you want NDI inputs, you can do that as well. And that is like, it's essentially like the Blackmagic streaming bridge, but supports anything and multiple protocols, which is super cool. It's not cheap though, fair warning. The Raspberry Pi is a much cheaper version of that. Any other questions about that? I saw somebody mention Raspberry Pi. I don't know where it went. Oh yeah, there it is. Simon says it does not work on the latest. Yeah, they took out the OMX player from the latest Raspberry Pi OS, but you have to go and download the previous version. Dig Project says, I wrote 3 questions above, but forgot to preface with Q, not repeating to avoid spamming. Thanks. But at this point, let's see if I can find them. Oh, okay, there they are. I see them above. For live music ATEM switching, would you recommend going from a mixing board direct into the primary camera, or would you go from a board into the ATEM with the mic delay? For live music, Um, running a mixing board into a camera definitely works. And the benefit is that it will for sure be in sync with that camera. I think that's a great way to get a in sync audio without any risk of messing it up. I don't have the FX3, so I don't know about that camera in particular, but I guess another good reason to do that is if you want to record in camera as a backup, you'd also be recording the audio. I normally don't run mixed audio into my cameras, but I also normally don't do music live streams. For a long time on this stream, I was using a microphone directly into my main camera, just to have it always be in sync and coming in over HDMI into the ATEM. I have now switched, and I am running a mixer, that MR18 mixer, into my ATEM on the analog inputs. I think one of the reasons to avoid the analog inputs on the ATEMs is if you can't send it a line signal. So with the mic input, it can be more noisy, and but like if you're sending a line level signal from a mixer, it's fine, and that's what you're hearing right now, which I think is totally fine. Yeah, I think running it into the camera is probably a good option, but I'm like hesitant to like fully recommend it just because I don't really have any experience with the other things involved in live music production. And then your other question, do you have a demo of an Apple Pencil or tablet overlay that can be done on screen during streams like a whiteboard? Kind of. I don't have like a super edited demo, but we did talk about this a couple times on live streams before. Let's see if I have timestamps for them. So let's just go search for this. Let's see if I mentioned Apple Pencil. No, I didn't mention Apple Pencil. I probably mentioned Keynote. Creating graphics with alpha channels in Keynote. What I know I've talked about it at some point of how I draw over my slides with the Apple Pencil on the iPad. Ooh, iPad. Is that the word to use? Do we see anything about... No. Oh, yes. How I draw on top of the live stream using my iPad. I found it. Okay, here is the timestamp. This is the demo I was thinking of. So if you go here, I'll drop this link in the chat. iPad live stream drawing demo. That's a terrible description. It should be here. And this is, yeah, I showed a drawing app. I showed bringing it into the ATEM, and then there should be a demo of actually putting it on the screen. Yeah. So a little stream inception there. But take a look at that, because I did explain in that segment how to find it or how to set that up. Okay, other questions about the Magewell Raspberry Pi. FX3 is basically an A7S3 with a different body coming out of a mixer. It may be necessary to use DI box to step down the audio level from... Yeah, so I don't know if... Yeah, the camera may not support line level input. That's the thing. But I don't have that camera, so I don't know. Sometimes mixers can output mic levels too, though. So you have to make sure that you get those levels to match. JP says, I did a live music streaming recently. Usually I connect the audio from a mixing board to the ATEM Mini. It really depends on the delay on the camera, especially if different brands of cameras. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, lots of helpful people in the chat, which is lovely. Okay. I am going to skip back to higher up in the chat where I was going through the questions. Abraham says, what's the best way to prepare for a streaming show? Do you do a dry run? How do you determine your super source layouts? That is a great question. So I cheat for this stream because if I don't have something set up on this stream, then I set it up live. So we saw that a couple times last week where I didn't have a super source layout created ahead of time for a showing the outputs of these various switchers and stuff, and I would just say, okay, we're going to build this super source live. Obviously, you can't do that on most other streams when the stream is not about live streaming. So I consider that cheating because I can take advantage of the fact that it's a good excuse to show how to do this stuff on this stream. If I'm running somebody else's stream where the topic is obviously some other content where I can't just do that stuff live, then it's a whole different story. So I do try to actually plan ahead for that. And yeah, I do try to do not a dry run of the content, but a dry run of the sort of going through what I imagine the show will be. So some of the shows are not super well planned out, and those tend to be ones that I'm doing often where it's not following a script. It's not necessarily even, it might be like we know there's going to be one live guest, but we know that there's going to be a screen share and stuff like that. I try to get as much information ahead of time as possible. Like, do you need an overhead camera? Do you need to be able to share slides from an iPad? Do you need to be able to share a computer screen onto the stream? Are you going to have a remote guest? Do you need to share music? All that kind of stuff, and ask all those questions and do as much setup ahead of time as possible. And then I will usually end up building out Stream Deck buttons for the particular show. So I'll make a Stream Deck button that's like, okay, we're going to switch to the opening graphic. Okay, we're going to make one that turns on the right microphone and cuts to the right camera to start the show. For super source layouts, if I know someone's going to be sharing a computer screen, then I can set that up ahead of time because I know how big the computer screen is and I know where I want it, and I can set that up ahead of time. For sharing an iPad, the iPad screen comes in at a different size, so I would have to do that ahead of time as well. And yeah, I do try to prepare as much of that as possible and set up the super source layouts ahead of time. You can set up super source layouts on the fly. And so if you're not the one in the show, if you're just behind the scenes and you want to be able to, and you have, someone's doing their show and then you're like, oh shoot, I don't have that layout yet available. You can set it up on the fly. And the way that you do that is you use the preview box. So in the multi-view for my ATEM, I have the preview box really small because I don't really use it for this show. But I might, for example, if I'm running somebody else's show, I might actually go over and change the multi-view to show the preview. And now I can, have that preview button on the left be a full size window. What that lets you do is you can then move the super source into the preview and then change it, and it's not on the air. So as long as you have time, you can do this stuff all without it being live on the stream. So I can go here and be like, oh no, the person is sharing slides from a computer, but instead of a full screen Keynote file, they made a 4x3 file, so the size is all wrong, and I want to get rid of the borders on the super source. So I can be like, okay, cool. We're going to go and add a crop here, and then crop the left by 2, crop the right by 2, see how it looks. Oh, I overshot. We're going to, adjust that the other way to kind of until it looks right. And then it's ready, and then I would go and very quickly turn this into a macro. So I can crop the top, get rid of my title bar, and then quickly record a macro with this, right? Which is like, let's see if I have a free slot somewhere. Super source test, and I would go, okay, quick. Record that, enter, record the crop, enter. Don't forget to do your other boxes. We still want box 1 there. Enter, crop, enter. And I'm like, frantically doing this while the person's talking, and hopefully they don't need to cut to that scene yet. And then we stop recording, and now I've got a button where I can restore this layout. So now if we are, let's see, let's mess up my super source layout by changing something else, and then I am ready to show, to reconfigure the super source for their scene, I can click that button and now it restores all those settings. And you can absolutely do that live, because if you'll notice, that whole time I was doing it, I was looking at it in the preview window, not in the program window. So that's one of the advantages of using the preview window. Cool. Hopefully that helped. Was there anything else about that? Let's see. Yeah, do I do a dry run? I usually don't have the opportunity to do a dry run with the actual person, or in the actual space, or with the actual person. So I'll try to do as much, like recreate the show as much as I can at home in the studio before I leave, and get it all set up, and then have hopefully as little to do as possible on the day of the event. Okay. Other questions? Oh, back on the sound issue, I see there's a whole discussion happening, but Keith has a good point. Cameras sometimes have not so good preamps, so I wouldn't go through a camera. I think it totally depends on the camera, because like some of them are going to have better preamps than others, so definitely depends on the camera. And like I said, I don't have experience with that Sony camera. Oh, Bailey is saying the FX3 has an XLR handle. So if it has XLR inputs, that's potentially means it has a much better preamp than what you get on the little 1/8 inch jacks. Nicholas says, I remember the Blackmagic announcement of the Extreme. They said through the Gigabit Ethernet port it'll have more features in the future. Haven't paid attention. Do you know if they are already here? I haven't heard any updates about new stuff taking advantage of Gigabit Ethernet yet. So I don't know what they're planning. I will say one of the things you can do right now with it, though, is use its FTP server. So the FTP server of the Extreme is super, super useful, and I've been using it lately for recording stuff. I need to get an actual FTP app that's better than, like, I'm using just what I use for editing stuff on web servers. So it's Nova from Panic. They are a local company, but it is an FTP client also. So what I've been doing is I just go in here and I hit record on my ATEM. Oh, my super source needs to be fixed. There we go. Hit record on my ATEM. It writes a file into here, and then I can just drag and drop the file into Finder. And because it's Gigabit Ethernet, it actually goes really quick. So like when I did the little Instagram story of the for the 25K announcement video, these were all the little segments I recorded, and like you can see how quickly this downloads. That was 100 megabytes that came over in like a second. So that's very cool use of the Gigabit, and it just it means you can just grab files off of it without plugging the hard drive in and out. So, but yeah, that's not new. That's been there forever. So we'll see what they are adding new. Moonpost says, should people consider multi-site streaming or stick to just one platform? Which service is recommended? Restream, Caster, Live Push, StreamYard. All those are great solutions. They are all slightly different. StreamYard isn't really like a... StreamYard is a whole video mixer. So it has like scenes and you can bring in guests. It's super cool. Super easy for that. It's honestly... Restream Studio and StreamYard are those two are very similar. And I recommend those for sure if people are not... familiar with the hardware or even OBS or anything like that. If they want it, it's the easiest way to get guests in a stream, for example. But as far as the multi-streaming, those both can push to multiple streams, platforms, as well as these other ones can as well. You can build your own with a Raspberry Pi if you want. The thing you have to be careful of is terms of service. So for example, if you're in the Twitch, if you're monetized on Twitch, they do not let you restream to anything else. So it's like part of the terms is that if you're streaming on Twitch and you're monetized, the content is exclusive to Twitch and you are not allowed to then also stream it to YouTube at the same time. Other platforms have similar restrictions, so you have to go look at it. I personally haven't done much of it because I don't really know where else I would push. I have zero interest in feeding Facebook any of my content. I've essentially deleted my Facebook account a while ago, last year. And and I have no interest in participating in anything on Facebook, so that's not a place I'm going to be streaming to. Instagram doesn't let you stream remotely, like you have to stream from the app. So I just don't have any other place to multi-stream, with one exception of I'm exploring Amazon Live, because I'm interested in seeing if that makes sense for some of my content. But again, I don't really know if multi-streaming to that platform makes sense either. So it probably depends on the type of content you're making. Like, where is your audience? Do you have an audience on other platforms or not? But do pay attention to the terms of service, because sometimes they will not let you do it. Key says, do your stream decks time out? I've had a couple of times, like it'll get disconnected for some reason, but it doesn't happen very often. Most of the time they just are always on and always running. Sometimes I have seen it kind of forget the device though, and what I have to do is I go into surfaces here and it'll just be gone, and then if you rescan USB it'll find it again, which is kind of annoying, but it's only happened a couple of times. George says, can you connect wirelessly a Stream Deck to a companion box, convert USB to wireless somehow? I've been looking into that, because when I did put this one over here, it's not close enough to my computer to plug in with a normal size cable. And I was like, what are the options for doing it wirelessly? And I was looking into it. There are some wireless, essentially KVM solutions. It's not clear to me if there are any that are USB 3, if those are good, or if I actually need USB 3 for this. I think you need USB 3. Some of the KVM ones are like only USB 1, which definitely won't work with the Stream Deck. So I haven't found a good solution for that. It seems like there's definitely a possibility of getting like a wireless USB extender, but I haven't yet found one that I can recommend. While we're talking about the Stream Deck, do you use the Stream Deck app with Companion, or do you stick with Companion only? I actually run both of these. Both the Stream Decks I have now are attached to a Raspberry Pi with no desktop interface on it. So they are only running the Companion software, and they are not on my regular computer. I have a tiny one. You can kind of see it's poking out from behind the other Stream Deck. Tiny one on my desk is plugged into my Mac, and I have only a couple of buttons on there that I use to control my computer. I actually have a button to change my desktop background between my work background and my YouTube background. And I have Zoom buttons in there as well for like mute on Zoom, but I don't use it that often. I mostly am using the one connected into a Raspberry Pi. USB 1, that's insane. Well, the thing is that keyboards and mice don't need fast USB. So, yeah. Oh, that reminds me, there is another solution to this. It's specifically for Companion. It is called, oh, that's a terrible search term. It's called Companion Satellite. I just remembered this. What this does is, this is not a very good description of it. Do they have a web page about it? No. I think this is the only place to find it. Let me give you this link. Companion Satellite. So Companion Satellite, what this does is you can take a different computer and plug in a Stream Deck into that computer, and then have that be a remote to your main Companion box. So, like, you have your main Companion installed on a Mac or Raspberry Pi or whatever, and you have one Stream Deck plugged in there, and that's its own thing. But then if you want to get a remote Stream Deck interface plugged into it, you can set up a totally different computer, plug in a different Stream Deck into a different computer, and then connect it over the network. And that can be a good way to do longer distance connections. You can even go over the internet for that as well. So that can definitely help. Now I don't remember the question. Oh, wirelessly connect a Stream Deck to a Companion box. So It's not going to be full wireless, obviously, so you still have the wire powering the Stream Deck, as well as you could do it with a Raspberry Pi, so if you can like fit a Raspberry Pi into there, you could get it to be pretty portable, but it's not going to be full wireless. But it would definitely be longer than a USB cable can run. Chris says, I just set up Companion on my Unraid server and ran a USB Cat 5 extender with power. It works great. Totally, yeah. So the USB Cat 5 extenders, I just got one that's like a powered USB cable, so it's got its own power supply, but it's USB on both ends. Those can work if you are okay with running cables. Oh my gosh, am I still back when I was talking about Photo Joseph being here? I'm way behind in the chats. I'm sorry. Next time you have a guest at the table, can you experiment with bidirectional and omnidirectional mics placed between you above frame? Depends on the guest, but yeah. Also, I have no idea when that's going to happen again. But we can try. How much latency with the USB extension? I don't notice any. I haven't actually compared side by side to see if the buttons, you know, when you page up on a when you change pages on a Stream Deck, the buttons all refresh, so you can see how they come in one by one. I haven't actually compared side by side to this one and the one that's plugged in closer to see if they are faster or slower, but like it's plenty fast. I don't see any more delay here compared to when I'm using the one that's hardwired and with a short USB. Yeah. Graham says, I've had my extreme ISO streaming and recording section freeze. Looks like only when controlled from Companion, and there's a short test stream before the main church service. Any ideas? That's odd. So I have noticed that it will freeze sometimes if there's a problem with the network connection or a problem with the hard drive. So if you've plugged in a slow hard drive and you're recording and then you try to like hit off, it'll look like it's frozen until it can finish writing to the disk. And same with the stream if you've lost your network connection. I haven't seen it like totally freeze up aside from that though. So I don't know. But the web presenter I have definitely had freeze, which is really annoying. And actually right now it's also in a weird state. I don't know if I can, maybe I can spin my camera around and show this to you because it's super weird. Can I zoom in close enough that this will make any sense? Looks like I can. That's cool. So the web presenter is where's my finger? Oh, it's big finger. That's the web presenter. You can see it's sitting there. That is a screen plugged into the web presenter. Notice how this one says on air and this one says off. That's the same device. That's the output of that device. The screen on this one says off. It's showing the video, like you can see my finger is moving there. It's showing the video, but it thinks it's not streaming. The audio bars are frozen too. So it's like something got locked up on that display, but that one's fine. I don't really understand how that's happening. And if I reboot it, it'll fix it. But it still streams fine. It just doesn't show the right thing on the screen, which is weird. Your custom code is like building a solution to a problem with spare parts in your garage. Works for you, but a non-programmer would probably break it in a week and need constant support. Exactly. I have not built these tools as a product for other people. I built them for myself. So there's like a lot of weird things that are not a good user experience, and it's not easy for anybody else to set up. So no, I'm not shipping these tools. But that's why I recommend H2R Graphics, because H2R Graphics is a tool built for other people to use very intentionally, and he's doing a great job with it. So, yeah. Okay. Oh, it looks like the snow is melting, which is good. It means I'll be able to ride home a little easier. How far is your studio from your home? It's like about 4 miles, so it's like almost a half-hour bike ride. Not too bad. And it's nice. I get a commute, build myself a commute. Is your ATEM software on a Raspberry Pi as well? No, that software does not run on a Raspberry Pi. So the ATEM software control, when I'm using it on a computer, this is my Mac that you're seeing, the screen of my Mac, and that's how I use the software control. It's showing you SuperSource right now, and this is how I control the ATEMs mainly. But then the Companion's running on the Raspberry Pi, and that's also sending commands to the ATEM. Multiple things can be sending commands to the ATEMs, up to 5 at a time, and they both, like, it doesn't matter. You can have multiple connected. They don't have to. It's not exclusive, so I can have multiple things talking to each other, talking to the ATEMs for that. I'm so far behind on the chat. I'm sorry. Graham says, my Extreme was showing the right thing on the screen, but not streaming. Oh, that's bad. I don't know. Honestly, rebooting fixes a lot of it. When you're using the live chat plugin, I followed your demo, but the system defaults loads a white background to use a black background and key it out. Yeah, so in my extension, there's a whole settings page on it. And let's see if I have. If you go into your settings for your Chrome extension, you'll find this details page here. And then here is where you can go to extension options. And oh, I have it disabled. Let's turn it on, because I'm not actually using this one right now. But yeah, if you go to extension options, come on. Oh my gosh. Extension options, there it is. You can change the background color here. So if you're bringing it into OBS, for example, use transparent. Otherwise, you can use black for keying. This is how, make sure you don't put black here if you are using a Luma key, because then it'll key out the borders and stuff. So I usually have it set to, well, lately I've actually been using OBS for it, so then I can use a transparent background. If you are going into the ATEM though, then you can chroma key it, or you can Luma key it with a black background. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm so far behind in the chats. Keith says download link for, oh, we were talking about YouTube DL. Gosh. YouTube DL is how I archive my videos. So YouTube DL is how I archive my YouTube streams. So yeah, this is the tool. It is a little command line app, so it's not super friendly and not super friendly to use, but it does work. And basically it lets me grab a copy of the streams that I've streamed to YouTube. That way I can have my own archive of them. That's also how I will also use that to, when I include snippets of other streams in other videos, like the YoloBox stream, for example, I had some shots from other streams in that video. Sometimes I just like screen record the YouTube video because I want to show it in the context of it being on YouTube, but sometimes I don't want that. So I want to grab the actual video that was on a stream and use that. So I'll use that to grab the stream that I published to YouTube. And since I don't record these locally, the other way to do it would be if I were just recording these locally when I stream, I would already have the recording, but I just don't do that. And I pull it down from YouTube later. Are you considering an overlay chat extension version for Facebook? No, I want nothing to do with Facebook at all. So I have zero plans to do that because it would just be a bunch of work that I would not use myself. But Steve, who created OBS or Video.Ninja, he took my chat extension and tore it apart and made it really cool. So he has a, I should drop this link in. This is chat.overlay.ninja. And what he did was tore it apart, turned it into a new thing, and added a whole bunch of sources. So you'll notice this looks the same because it's the same CSS that that I ended up using. But his does support a bunch of platforms, which is nice. So he's already done all that work for you, which is great. And then he actually has a new version of it, which is so he forked from mine, but it's way changed from mine. But he has a new one, which I'm not finding the link for now, which is maybe it's on his YouTube channel. Where is it? It was called Social Stream. That's the one. Socialstream.ninja. So this is, again, the same idea, but he's completely redone how it works. And it will, here's kind of what it looks like. So basically, go use his because his supports a lot more features than mine now and more platforms. Live chat follow-up. When I key out the black background, it removes the black from user avatars and makes transparency in those images. Is there a way to avoid this? I thought I had done a workaround sort of for that, but the only thing you can really do is adjust your key so that it takes out as little as possible. So what I mean by that is if you go to the into the downstream key section and you are not using a pre-multiplied key, then do I have anything I can overlay on this really quick? Maybe I can, here's what I can do. I can use my other computer screen into there, and then, where is it? There we go. And then in my Keynote file, we can do it. So here, I can make I might actually have a graphic of myself with a dark background. Let me find that really quick, because I think I have a version of my profile photo that has a dark background. Where is it? Is it in this folder? No. Oh, I know where it is. It's in this folder. It is, okay, let's grab a couple of these. Here's my old photo. Here is my on black. Perfect. This is what I wanted. Okay. So I'm going to create this Keynote graphic. Create this Keynote graphic as like a mock-up of what it might, if it were my actual chat thing. But same concept applies. And I'm going to put two different photos in here of myself. But you'll notice that this is not actually totally black background. This one's a lot darker. The background of this slide is completely black. Now I can go and move this to my other screen. And then on my other screen, oh my God, I can't see it. Let's see. So it's on my other computer screen, and let's go and actually make that bigger so I can see it. We're going to go play in window. And now I've got, oh gosh, wrong button. My mouse is slightly delayed when it's coming onto this computer screen because it's going through my scaler. Okay, where is my text? Why is there no text? Oh, because it wasn't the transition. Okay, so that graphic I have on a full screen. It's in one of the inputs on my ATEM now, so I can actually key it out with this. So I'm going to put it in the downstream key 1. We're going to go and grab, I know it's called HyperDeck, but it's because I rerouted it. It's not pre-multiplied, and we're going to put this on the air. This is the problem. If my background of the slide is black, so I need to use a Luma key, which is what the downstream key is, which means dark parts of the images are getting removed. But there's this clip, and you can adjust this down until some of the black in the picture comes back. And as long as you don't go too far down, you won't cover up the main stream. So, or the main image. So you want to get this as low as you possibly can without the black background coming through. The other thing you can do is also crop it to just crop the top down, because you'll never have stuff taller than that, but this will get you pretty far. Obviously, it's not perfect because some of the avatar in the darkest one is still getting to be transparent, and there's just not really a way around it. What I thought I had done for the chat extension was, overlaid a partially transparent white image over the top of the avatar to make those blacks go up a little bit. But I may have lost it at some point. But that's one of the reasons to use OBS. So in OBS, you can bring the chat plugin into OBS, and as a browser source with a transparent background, OBS can output to a deck link card. Let's see if my H2R gear loaded. This is my setup, more or less my setup now. My Mac is outputting to this Ultra Studio 4K Mini from OBS. This gives me the 2 video outs with key and fill for doing proper transparency, and then you don't have that black background. That's obviously a lot more hardware, but it does work. 2-hour mark reached. So much for a short stream today. Andre says, I sent another 2-hour stream, and that was like an hour and a half ago. Cool. What? Wow. Okay, I don't even know how. We're nowhere near the end of this. Let's keep it going. I can't go too long because I have to get back home through the snow and then run Lily's stream. So here, while we're here and in a little pause, one more plug for Lily's channel. So Lily's channel, I run her stream after mine on Sundays. Oh yes, 904. She's shooting for 1,000 subscribers this year. So please go subscribe to her. This is I've mentioned a couple of times like how I run this and done a couple of like behind the scenes setups of it, but we stream from her set and the cat. We stream from her set. Lately, what I've been doing is streaming to my studio. So from the ATEM Mini Pro, which was the one I was actually using on demo on Friday, I stream from that to the streaming bridge here in the studio and mix it into my normal ATEM. And I add in her graphics and in her chat and stuff using OBS, all the same way I run my show. But instead of having a bunch of camera angles in the studio, I have essentially local switching of, her overhead camera, her main camera, and then the cat, which is our cat makes a lot of appearances on the stream. She was quite the character last week. Made a lot of we had a lot of excellent cat content on. Yeah, she was just helping out with the planner the whole time, and trying to eat the pens occasionally. So anyway, sometimes I also have a wireless camera that's actually like watching the cat take a nap somewhere. And I've been experimenting with different setups for that too. I think this one was actually streaming from my GH5 Mark II to a separate RTMP server at home. And so I had 2 feeds running from home to the studio, and that was an interesting experiment. Sometimes I use like a Hollyland to get a local cat cam, and then stream just one thing to the studio. So I've been using this as a way to experiment with different remote production workflows, essentially. And yeah, you should subscribe to her and hang out, because if you're in Australia, her time is very friendly to the Australia and Asia time zones, because it's at 5 p.m. Pacific, which means I have to go back and set up for that in not that much time. But yeah, go subscribe. She's trying to get to 1,000. That way she can get her channel monetized again. She used to be monetized 15 years ago, back before they had that criteria, and then they added the 1,000 subscriber criteria, and then now she has to requalify for it. Lots of budgeting content and planner content lately, so lots of good stuff there. And you can see our cat. And yes, the donuts. She eats a vegan donut on the stream and reviews it live. And I might have a fun donut to eat on today's stream as well. So we'll see if I might make an appearance there. Did Project, thank you for the super chat. Thanks for answering all our questions. Please keep these Q&A sessions going. Looking forward to going live with all these new tools. Awesome. Thank you for joining, and thanks for the questions. That is how the show works. And I appreciate the super chats. Chris says, I subscribed already. Really interesting one. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Chris says, seriously, it's going to be a short one today. Should be on your shirt. Yeah, I might have to do that. I might have to do that. Great. Thanks for stopping by, Bailey. Good to see you, and good luck on the gig. Roland says, are you coming out of an aux on the MR18 into your Extreme? If so, are you using a DI box to step down the line level? No, I just ran a cable. It's a little like XLR to 1/8 inch cable running directly into the ATEM, and it seems to be working fine. I don't even think I had to do anything special with the levels in the ATEM. My ATEM is set to line level, and the audio on mic 1 is, yeah, it's just zeros. So, oh, I forgot that I have a compressor and EQ on here. I should probably get rid of that, because I think it's being done in the mixer now. But no, I didn't have to do anything special, which it was great. It just works. Okay. Oh my gosh. There's so many questions. So many questions. Oh, speaking of MR18, are you still tweaking the setup on your MR18? Yes. I mean, everything is still tweaking. So I'm always tweaking everything in here. I have the... what I do have set up that I haven't changed is the 2 microphones on input 1 and 2. I have one of the other for the other camera, and I had to add a delay in the MR18 for that, because I can't add it in the ATEM now, because it has to only be on that microphone. That's been working. What I am still trying to tweak is the rest of the audio routing in here. So I don't know, you probably can't tell, which is the goal, but the sound effects that are coming, like the super chat sound effects and the music and all that stuff from the from my graphics overlay, that's all done in a web page that's in OBS, and outputs that into my ATEM. And that means I can't hear it, because it doesn't even come through the headphones, because it's not plugged into my main ATEM. So I mentioned this is how I got my show set up, where I have 2 ATEMs. I have my main Extreme, which is the one that you can see here, but that actually, you can see it's not streaming, because it's just outputting HDMI to my other ATEM. And then this goes into the web presenter for the stream. So this is where the graphics are added in, which means the audio from the graphics is only in this one, and the headphones are plugged in here, so I can't actually hear it. Or if I did plug the headphones into the web presenter, I could hear it if I have the headphones on, but I don't want to wear the headphones for the whole stream. So what I've wanted to be able to do, and what I have now is, looks like I need to add, I don't even have the audio mixer on here yet. This is just the video routing. What I have now is the Ultra Studio 4K Mini also has audio outputs. So I ran audio outs from that into the MR18, into the audio mixer, and then I ran audio cables from different aux outs into the speakers that are up on that shelf. So those two speakers are now plugged into the MR18, so I can now route anything into those speakers. Like I could route my microphone, which would be a terrible idea because it would get feedback and it would just sound weird. But I can also selectively route certain other pieces of audio, like the audio from the graphics that I'm using. And what that means is that now I can hear in this room, I can hear the super chat sound without headphones, which has been great because I don't have to look at the screen at the teleprompter to know if there's been a super chat. I can just hear it. So, and yeah, I was about to ask if you're using it as an interface to get computer audio into the stream. So that is also, yeah, on my Mac, my Mac, I can also up in here set the audio output to the MR18, and then that shows up in there as well. So if I, for example, want to actually play a YouTube video and have you hear it,
there's like such
I can actually route the audio. So this is
existential questions going on.
Only, but this is right now only being routed to the speakers in my room, so you might be able to hear it through the microphone. But I can also go into the audio router here, if I can remember how to do it. Bus 1 is what you're hearing. So if I turn this up, then the audio from my computer will go onto the stream as well. Thank you for the super chat, Chris. Let's test that again. So I heard that on the speakers. You heard it on the stream. And that is, yeah, a lot nicer for me to be able to actually get that audio, because I was busy looking at the screen and I wasn't looking at the screen when that came in. But what I can do now is I can turn on my computer audio, and let's keep it kind of low, and let's just play her video. And you should be hearing her voice now on the stream playing from this YouTube video.
The budgeting process.
And that way I can actually, I left it really low because I didn't want to drown myself out here. I'll just give a couple seconds of this.
Particularly given the uncertainty, everyone is voting for budget, so we...
Yeah. So I can see the levels popping up on my ATEM, so I know you could hear that. But that lets me send my computer audio out to the stream if I wanted to now, which is cool. But for the most part, I just leave it. Bus 5 is the aux out that goes to my speakers, and then I have my graphics audio in these channels, and I have the computer audio over here. I could turn on my table microphone, send that to the speakers in my room. Hello, testing, testing. Hello, hello, hello. I think it's working. It's just there's no feedback because the microphone is so directional. Yeah, I think that's how that is set up. Cool. Keith says, did you purchase the Ultra Studio 4K for the OBS graphics and audio out? Pretty much, yes. That's the reason I got it. I got it mainly for doing graphics output from a computer into the stream. What headphones are you using? I want a pair of low-key, low-visibility monitors for presenting and zooming. I'm not wearing them right now because they're big. These are the headphones that I have, and sometimes I will put these on when I am testing stuff, but I don't like having those on the stream. When I'm on Zoom meetings and stuff, I usually just wear AirPods, and they're pretty small, and they only like stick out about like that much, and they're white, so they don't look bulky. Roland says, I monitor sound when sending video by using some tiny Bluetooth earbuds, which connect to a hardware Bluetooth transmitter, which is connected to a small headphone mixer. That's a cool idea too. Yeah, I normally don't need to, I normally don't actually want to monitor my own audio in headphones, and but that's a cool solution. Sven says you can stop anytime you like. No, I have to go through all the questions. No, I will. I will have to actually stop at some point, and we are clearly not going to get to all the questions. So I apologize in advance. Remember to reboot the Mac before your next stream. What I should do is reboot it right when I leave. Yes. Okay. The good news is we have more streams planned for this week still, so you'll still get more chances to ask more questions. What else can I get to before we wrap up? Let me start skimming through. Chris says, so the draw is still an hour away. I'm gonna do the winner draw at the end of the stream, whenever that is. Please explain how you integrate the RTMP stream into the ATEM in your last video at 45:23. Was that the ATEM live stream? So the trick is that Magewell device, which I mentioned before. The Magewell ProConvert. This is the SDI version, but they have an HDMI version as well. And really what that means is just the where did it go? 70.77. So when I'm signed into my Magewell ProConvert, this is the web interface for it. And then I don't think there is anything streaming to it. There was something streaming to it. I don't think there is anything streaming into it right now. But it'll show you, it gives you all these options, and you configure all your stream keys and RTMP or NDI. NDI sources appear here if you get the NDI model. This is just HDMI out or SDI out. So there's like, that's how it gets into the ATEM, is just HDMI. Pierre says, using an ATEM Mini stream for meetings on Zoom, 2 days with Zoom OK, 5 minutes before the live connection with the official Zoom meeting, and black screen. Do you know what's a troubleshoot? So I've seen this happen if an ATEM is on for multiple days. And I don't know why it happens. I hope they fix it. Sometimes when I come into the studio and I'm using Zoom, I open it up and either the audio isn't going into Zoom or the video isn't. So I just reboot it and it works fine. Always remember, before you reboot your ATEM, go into your software control and go save startup state, because that makes sure that when it reboots, everything comes back exactly this way. Otherwise, it may have lost some of your settings if you've changed stuff and not saved the settings. Is it possible to start your live stream earlier? Watching the show at 1 a.m. is rather difficult for a 70-year-old audience like me. Sorry for the timing. 10 o'clock is the best time for me because it gives me enough time to prepare. Because what I do usually is I usually come here at around 8 and 8 to 8:30 and start setting things up. Obviously, most of my studio is set up, but I usually, if I'm like got a video to prepare, or I want to add some other thing to play back on the stream, or if I want to set up some other device to show you, I need some time to do that ahead of time. So getting in much earlier starts to get really tough, because especially in the winter when it's like dark outside until 8 a.m., I'm not a big fan of biking in the pitch black. So yeah, probably not gonna be able to start much earlier, unfortunately. Okay. Oh my gosh. Jesse, can you go over your companion setup? We've gone too long today to spend this much time on it, but ask me again on Tuesday. I'm just going to skim through these, see if there's any I can cherry pick really quick. Technical conference with many sessions, including simultaneous in different rooms, each streamed to the same channel separately. Do I need a separate streaming key for each session? Yes, you do. Streaming keys are like on YouTube, they're like a I don't know what the right word is. It's like a HDMI cord or something, right? So it's like only one thing can be pushing to it at a time. And it can only be plugged into one thing. So aside from like the backup URL. But if you make a bunch of events on YouTube, you can be live on a bunch of streams at the same time on the same channel, but they each need to have their own input, which is their own stream key. And then so each one will have its own stream key, and then each can be live, and you do need to separate those all out. Sven says, you arrive at your studio at 8 in the morning on a Sunday. I wouldn't want to do it even if I was paid. Yeah. Yep. How useful is that height adjustable table? How often do you use the height adjustable feature? So this is a little standing desk that I got sent last year, actually, and it is it's cool. It works well. It's very strong. You might be able to tell from the number of cables that I have that drape down to the floor. I can't really raise it up and down anymore because of what I've done with the cables. So, like, I don't think all of the cables are long enough to extend the table now. And I'm not willing to risk yanking everything off the table to raise it. So I really haven't raised it in a while, which is actually one of the reasons I'm interested in moving more of that gear onto that rack, because I want to move the video hub, which is one of the middle ones there, and then all of these, and maybe just leave the 2 tiny displays. Probably move the extreme over as well. I'll probably just use that extreme and get most of the cables running into the rack. That way, most of this stuff will get cleaned up. A lot of these are power cables also, which are just a giant disaster. And I can really clean up all the power cables by running them in the rack as well. So that's one of my goals here, is to get rid of a bunch of the stuff off the desk. That way I can actually use it as a standing desk again, which will be nice. Extreme front rack front mount would be a great sales item. Should be in 2 pieces detachable. Oh yeah, I was going to show you this. I totally forgot about. I got distracted. Story of my life. This stream is chaos. So what I was going to show you was Instagram stories from my phone. So what I can do, let's see if this is going to work. What I can do is, if I'm looking at a photo on my phone, are you not in focus? Hello. Okay. So what I can do is I can go share, and I can then share it to an action, which is where is it? Oh, where did it go? Should be add to story. Where did it go? There it is, add to story. What that should do, it broke. So I don't know what's wrong with it. Something is wrong with my shortcut. Like I said, this isn't always working, but, oh, this one's working. Add to story resize is uploading. Oh, there it goes. So what that did was I shared a photo out of my phone, and then now if you go to my website, aaronparecki.com, my main website, my picture has a little circle around it, and if you click on it, it looks like an Instagram story. So I can post Instagram stories to my own website. I just don't do it very often, and I don't usually copy them from Instagram. Also, this doesn't really support videos because I haven't figured out the best way to handle that yet. So most of the things I post on Instagram stories are videos, which means in practice, most of them don't end up on my website. I would like to solve that at some point. But yeah, I wanted to show you this picture, which is the rack mount that I made. So this is my ATEM Mini Extreme stand. And then I made a little plate that has the rack mount screw holes, and it has screw holes for the back of the stand. I don't think this side one is necessary. I added it because I wasn't sure. I don't think it's actually helping. The back screws are totally strong enough, and it holds up the ATEM just fine in the front of the rack, which is kind of interesting. But I'm going to wait till I get some longer term use out of that before risking anybody else's ATEM hanging off the front of the rack like that. Oh my gosh. Okay. What else? I'm not going to forget about the giveaway. Quick macro create. Is that possible for SuperSource? Please write that app. I would pay $100 for it. That app already exists. It's called Mix Effect. You should try it. So Mix Effect has a very cool feature, which if you are, I don't know if there's going to be a screenshot of it, but in addition to creating SuperSource layouts much easier than in the ATEM software, there's a button in here somewhere where when you're looking at, I think it's on the SuperSource page. Yeah, I think if you scroll down, it's on the SuperSource page. What you can do is you can start recording a macro, and then there's a button on here that says like save all the current settings. And what it'll do is it'll instead of what I was doing, which was manually going through each tab of the SuperSource boxes and setting all those, it'll essentially do that all in one go. And it'll just be like, boom, those are all written into the macro now. So that is the reason I didn't do it, was because I don't have my mix effect is running on an iPad over there. I don't have it in front of me. So I need to like figure that out better so I can actually show that to you next time. But that is a very, very cool feature of Mix Effect. Can you link to your blog post on a VPN between two locations on the same network? Yes, I can. That is, actually, it's pretty easy to find from my site. I think it's just on my main articles page. Yeah, it's this remote control ATEM Mini interview kit. That one is remote control ATEM Mini VPN. That is the link to it. Do you ever make macros in the ATEM because Companion doesn't support the action needed? That is usually, right now, that is the only time I make macros in the ATEM. I've been moving more and more of the automation into Companion because it's easier to update and maintain and debug. But sometimes there's a feature that Companion doesn't support. And in that case, I will then go make a macro for it and then run the macro from Companion. Okay, I've skimmed through the questions. I definitely skipped some. I'm sorry in advance for if I missed your question. But come back on Tuesday and we'll do another. So Tuesday for my birthday, I'm going to try to get Joseph to join the stream virtually again. We might actually try on to link two YoloBoxes together, which would be kind of fun. And that one will be a long stream, I know in advance, which means it's probably going to be a very long stream because every time I think it's going to be a short stream, it ends up being long. And when I think it's going to be a long stream, it ends up being longer. Yeah, so we'll talk about whatever you want. We can even talk about like more IndieWeb stuff or more about like we can go through my Companion setup. We can look at some of that other new stuff we got going on. I don't want to like officially announce it, but I am trying. I'm very, very close to having this done. I'm trying to, on Tuesday, launch a store for this channel where I'm going to sell a bunch of used gear on fire sale. So I'm going to have very, very discounted prices on a bunch of the stuff that I've bought at some point over the last several years. It's all still totally functional, good stuff. So you won't want to miss that because that stuff's probably going to go quickly because the prices are going to be very, very low. And I'm just trying to offload some of the gear, clean up the studio because I've got a lot of stuff in here. And I've been cycling through what stuff I actually do use. So I'm going to try to get rid of some of the stuff I haven't been using as much. I will say it probably does not make sense to ship it internationally just because of shipping costs and taxes and import fees and stuff. So gonna stick to US only. The shipping is very affordable within the US then. But yeah, hopefully we'll get some fun stuff out to everybody. And with any luck, I will also have a shirt available. I'm going to try to get that 3-color shirt listed on the store as well. So that's my job for the rest of the day between now and Lily's stream. So yeah. Keith says that's a mixed effect, and I don't know that. Yeah. Remind me again on Tuesday. I'll see if I can remember to bring that iPad over here so that I can show you more stuff on the iPad on Tuesday. Have Adam Tao on? Maybe. Yep. I haven't that would have been kind of fun to actually plan to have a bunch of people join me live. I just asked John because it's his birthday, and then I was like, well, Joseph, I just saw him, so he's gonna come in. But if Adam happens to be watching the stream, maybe I can bring him in live because I have stuff set up to do that. Okay, so the very last thing for today, before we are done, is the giveaway. So we are going to end this stream by drawing the winner for the giveaway. The giveaway is for one of my ATEM Mini stands. So we've got the new version of the ATEM Mini stand for either the original ATEM Mini or the Extreme, your choice. And I announced this on Friday during the ATEM Mini Pro live stream. And if you would like to buy one, you can find them at pk1.tv, or also linked from aaronpk.tv. And I have stands for a bunch of different stuff. The Extreme looks like that. It gives you, the opportunity to mount microphones or HDMI receivers or a monitor on top. And this goes through all the features of it. I've got one for the ATEM Mini Pro. So that's a smaller version, and same idea. It gives you a bunch of mount points. It has these little clips to hold down the ATEM as well in case you want to not have it accidentally fall off if you're moving it around. I've actually got this light one as well, which I haven't talked about too much, but it's a much cheaper version, and it doesn't have any of the mounting points. It's only for lifting it and tilting it. So it does also have these little front sort of clasps that at least make it a little bit more stable. But it's much cheaper because there's much less parts involved. And then the YoloBox one, same sort of design, but it slides onto the YoloBox from the sides. And this one, it actually has the same mounting holes. So if you compare the two, you'll see they are the same pattern so that you can attach the same accessories. Same cold shoe mount on the back for microphones and HDMI receivers and stuff like that as well. We did a giveaway for the YoloBox stand earlier in the week. Now we're doing a giveaway for the ATEM Mini stand. If you win, if you're the winner, you get to choose original or extreme, depending on what you need. Okay. The winner, I'm going to draw the winner really quick and then make sure that they are a real person and not a spam. And then we will announce the winner. Excellent. This looks like a real person. Okay. Yes. The winner of the ATEM Mini stand is Andrew S. Thank you for playing. Thank you for entering. And what we will do is I'm going to now email you, since I have your email address from the giveaway, and ask which stand you want, and then and your shipping address, and we will get that sent out. So thank you, congratulations, and thanks to everybody else who joined as well. All right, Sven says, good timing for ending the stream. My train arrives in 10 minutes. Excellent. Speaking of mixed effect, we still need an iPad mount for the PK1. I know, I have it over there. It is it has been working. It's attaches to the Stream Deck stand as well as the ATEM, and we'll see. I don't know. I think it's good enough. I'm not totally sure it's good enough. That's the problem. We'll see. Anyway, maybe I can get some beta testers to help test it out for me as well and get some feedback on it. It's not perfect. But yeah. Anyway, okay, we're done. That's it. We're done with this. The plan for tomorrow is I'm going to come back tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to look at some other switchers, and I'm going to show some of the smaller switchers that don't have streaming encoders built in, and we're going to do sort of a overview again of all of the features of those, probably slightly less of a deeper dive compared to last week, since we're going to have a couple to look at, and I want to not have it be a 5-hour stream, but we will take a look at some of those. And then on Tuesday, I'm going to dress up in a sparkly jacket and drink some mimosas and hang out with everybody here. So we'll maybe the power will go out too, because that happened last year on my birthday, which was an adventure. And then I had to keep the stream going off of batteries. And I have some UPSs in here now, so hopefully they work. And maybe we can test them live. So it'll be fun, whatever. All right. Thank you all. Thanks for joining today. This was way longer than I was expecting it to go, which is just the story of these streams. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for the super chats. Thank you, Keith. Good timing. I slipped that one in there right at the last second there. Yeah, I'm going to go reboot this Mac so that the graphics are less choppy tomorrow. And I will... see everybody again soon. Same time tomorrow, same place. I think that's true. It's all posted on the channel, all scheduled on the channel. Go subscribe to my email newsletter below to get an email notification in case you want better notifications than YouTube gives you. All right. Thanks everybody, and goodbye.